Greetings everyone, welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Alright, we've just finished the ice dungeon. We gotta make our way to another one. To get out of here though, we gotta go back to the light world. And we can use our duck friend. Alright, the next dungeon is pretty quick to get to. All we gotta do is go to part 6, or warp 6, or whatever. It's the only way to get up here, is to warp over here with the duck. So, getting the duck is required to beat the game. Up until this point, though, he wasn't required. Right now, though, he's required. So, not an optional thing to do. Anyway, welcome to the swamp. This is a nasty, drenched place. It's raining. It's just awful. It's a dark, nasty, dank, shitty place to be. But it does have our next dungeon, aptly named the Mire. It's also another really cool dungeon, I gotta say. It's probably not as cool as the ice dungeon, but it's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of how to solve this, so I want to do it correctly. Be able to access both chests at the same time. I don't want to come back in here. There we go. We got ourselves a piece of heart. And another full heart container. Only one more heart container we get from pieces of heart, so that's only 4 more pieces of heart left in the world. And one of them is over here, so there's only going to be 3 after this video. All I have to do is come over here and transport ourselves back to the light world. And lift up this rock. There you go. Oh yeah, and push your way over here. Certain stones move only certain directions, so you really can't lock yourself out, and if you fuck that up, you can just leave and come back, but I'm pretty sure you can't, because it doesn't let you push them the certain ways. Anyway, that's enough collecting. We're actually going to go to the dungeon proper. Now, entering the dungeon is kind of like entering the dungeon in the light world, wherein you have to do something to get in. You can't just walk in the front door. This is a fairy fountain, but I don't need any fairies, so that was kind of pointless. But kind of nice. If you happen to be dying in the dungeon and you don't have any fairies left, you can use the magic mirror to get back to the entrance and walk over there and heal yourself. So, kind of a nice thing for this dungeon, because this dungeon's kind of deadly. Alright, you saw the symbol on the ground. You just have to use the ether spell. Alright, so the ether spell lifts the thunderstorm, and it's going to open up the dungeon entrance. And here we are. Welcome, everyone, to level 9, the Mire. Now, this dungeon is kind of cool in, I mean, it doesn't look too different from the others, but the layout is pretty cool. And, you know, while the palette is kind of boring, they do add a few more details to the walls, which are kind of cool. We also see the introduction of the Wiz Robes to this game. They're not an introduction to the series, though. I mean, they were in the very first game, but I'm pretty sure they've been in every single Zelda game except maybe Ocarina of Time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if they were in Wind Waker or any of those types, but yeah. Anyway, they're a pretty staple Zelda enemy. But anyway, that's the first time we see them in this game. Kind of amazed there, but there's really... I'm going to be doing it the best way. The previous dungeon that you saw, the ice dungeon, I didn't do a practice run. What you saw was a pretty sloppy run through. This one, though, I've done a practice run. I know what I'm doing. It's going to be a much more polished experience, I guarantee it, so... Anyway, we're going to collect ourselves a key. After getting that key, you can just kind of make your way back to this room down here. And we're going to make our way over to the right now. Now, Mire is the first dungeon in the game where there's a lot of spike areas that you have to walk on. Now, the cape isn't required, per se. I mean, you could sit there and take the damage and walk on it, but if you try to do that, you're pretty much going to die. Guaranteed. You better bring a lot of red potion or fairies if you're going to try and do it that way. Or you could just grab the cane, the blue cane, or the cape and just do it normally. So, like I said, while they're not required, they're incredibly helpful by the time you get to this dungeon. So, if you don't have it already, go get it, because goddamn, if you try to do it without it, you're insane. And wow, I need to hit that crystal switch. Whoa. Yeah, not much else to say there. Just a bunch of enemies in the way. Alright, here's another part where you could just walk across and take the damage, or you could just use your cape. Much simpler just to use the cape. And just like in the previous dungeon and in others, these two walls are false bombable walls. Can't do anything to them. They're just cracked. They're just there to bother you. Kind of like that bombable wall behind that guy in that video a few videos back that I didn't get. That I probably won't get. Haha, just to piss you off. Anyway, now that we've hit the blue crystal switching, we can come over here to this part of the maze and go through this locked door. We've got ourselves a map! Now, I would look at it, but I didn't look at it, so I'm sorry. I'm going to look at it later, though, so you guys will see what it looks like. My apologies. One thing I gotta say about this dungeon, compared to the previous one, there's not a whole lot of backtracking. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's nothing like the ice dungeon where at the end they force you to go all the way back through the lower part of it again. I mean, that's just ridiculous. The worst kind of backtracking we have in this dungeon is we come through this room a few times, but nothing too serious, and we usually go through it a different way every time. Anyway, now that we have that key, we can go through this door. Kill these floating skull heads. Ooh, a fairy. Wow, what a nice rare drop. Maybe this one will drop the same. This time will be different. Nope, didn't drop anything. Just wasted a whole lot of time and life. Whatever. Light all the torches in here. Watch out with the tiles. Alright, if you didn't hit the crystal, or if you didn't leave the crystal switch on blue, you couldn't get the compass. Compasses are never really required to beat the game. All they do is show you what room the boss is in this game. They don't even tell you about keys or treasure chests like they do in other games. But what can you do? Oh, I'm out of magic. Nice! Just when you need a magic refill, sometimes it happens. Those slug enemies are new. I just killed the last one, but whatever. Hopefully you were looking at them. They just walk around and drop bombs. They don't, do too much else. And I thought if I killed everything in this room, something would happen, but alas, I am mistaken. Alright, this is an interesting part. You can actually bypass it and go into a room a little bit later, and it'll give you a clue about what to do. But I already know what to do, so I'm going to be setting up for it right now. What you got to do is make a path to each of these torches and light them, and then stop wasting time killing wizrobes. You have to push these over here and light these as well. But the problem is you have to light all 4 of them very quickly, or else some of them will go out. So we're going to do it now. Light, lights, light it. And we sit through a painfully long shaking sequence. In the room below us and to the right, there was actually a wall that was blocking the way. Lighting all these torches moves the wall. Was this much shaking really necessary, Nintendo? Was it really? I doubt it. Anyway, if you came in here, there'd be a wall right in front of you, and that hole wouldn't be there. But Sahasrara gives us the clue. We must set the 4 torches on fire to open the way forward. I already did it. Sahasrara, I don't need you. That last maiden said I needed the wise men, but I think she's wrong. Anyway, we've gotten ourselves a big key. Now we can go get the treasure. Alright, we could go up there in that door, but we have to backtrack just a little bit in order to get the treasure. We have to go back to that big room, that big central room one more time. Make our way over to the bottom right-hand corner. Now, I could have gone into that room earlier, but there would be no point because I couldn't get the chest, so it would serve no purpose. But we're going to go into it now. There's nothing up there. That's actually a way to backtrack. Alright, now you don't want to run across this because it's one of those disappearing bridges. We've got the item of the game, or the dungeon, the Cane of Samaria. This cane, we've seen it in other games. I think it's in Minish Cap. No, it's not Minish Cap. Minish Cap has that stupid cane. This one's in the Oracle series. I think it's in seasons. Basically, you swing the cane, it creates a block. You can push it around, throw it. It can hold down switches, and then when you swing the cane again, it blows the block up and releases fireballs in the 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. Now, in the Oracle series, it doesn't do the fireball thing, so it's kind of weaker in that game. This game, it kicks some ass because it can be thrown at enemies. You can use the fireballs. Pretty awesome. Also, we never have to worry about a switch again because you can always hold it down. Anyway, we've made our way back to this room, and we're going to go up through here. Yet another teleporting room. This game has, or this dungeon, I keep saying this game, but I'm really talking about the dungeon. This dungeon is not very linear, but a lot of the paths are just mainly for making the ease of backtracking even simpler. Like, for example, this room over here we've been through at the very beginning of the dungeon, but if you jump down here and you have the big key, well, here, you could already skip half the dungeon. So, for example, if you went outside and healed yourself at that fairy fountain, like I mentioned before, you can get back to this part pretty simply. Gotta hand it to the dungeon designers. I know it's been mentioned in the thread a few times that they did that, and, you know, they really made it easy for completing one half of the dungeon and then not having to do it all over again just to continue in case you die or whatever. Anyway, now we're into new rooms. We're down in the depths, and I can't open that door, but it doesn't matter because all that's behind it is money. I'm not even going to waste my time. I got so much money now, I don't even know what to do with it, so we're not even going to deal with it. Use your cane to hold that switch down. Move along. Now, we can see the anti-fairies, or whatever they are, in the dark. I know I always call those things the wrong thing, and someone always corrects me. But we can't see any other enemies, so you gotta be careful down these dark rooms. I think this is where the Misery Mire really gets its cool, like, dank dungeon theme to it, where we have these really dark rooms, and it's spooky, and it's in a swamp, and it's nasty. The cape is really cool for getting past those traps, by the way. Oh. Well, we can't progress in that room. I guess we should go north in here. Oh, there's the switch. So we have a crystal switch here. Now, in the top left portion of this room, there's a bombable wall that I didn't hit. Behind it is just more money. There's actually 2 rooms full of money in this dungeon. I don't really know why. Maybe, you know, you haven't really hit that fairy fountain or something, and they're giving you a lot of money at the end to do it. I don't know. Whatever. Ooh, wow, some enemies popped out of that. Pretty freaky. Yeah, there's the money room up there. As you can see, that bombable wall to the top left would put you in there. That's all that's there. So, whatever. We're actually almost done with this dungeon, and thankfully, we're out of the dark. Alright, you're going to want to hit that crystal switch, by the way. If you don't hit it, though, it's not a big deal. It's not like you go for a long time before realizing your mistake. It's right here. And that's it. We're already to the boss. This dungeon seems ridiculously short compared to the last one, but I really actually kind of like this dungeon. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty cool. It also has a pretty kick-ass boss. But while I'm saying it's a kick-ass boss, it's kick-ass because the design is cool. It looks cool. I like the puddle of water on the floor, but it's not a really hard boss. And you probably shouldn't walk in the water. It damaged me. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. You can throw bombs in the pile of them. They actually don't do a lot of damage, so you're better off using your sword. And I'm getting the bow and arrow ready for a later part. There we see. This boss can be easily cheesed once he gets into his second phase. Yeah, what else to say? Basically, you're just going to walk up here, do spin attacks, try to kill all the eyes, and oh my god, he killed me. I'm not paying attention to him, but if you look at the big eyeball, when he starts to turn white, that's when he's about to shoot the lightning, so that's when you get the fuck out of the way. I obviously wasn't paying attention. Anyway, once you kill all his eyes, except for he starts getting pissed off and he comes at you, but really you could just cheese him like this. Not a big deal. The first part is much harder than the second part. Anyway, that's it. The boss is dead. We've got the heart container and the maiden, and we're done. so Ganon's capturing the maidens because he needs their power to break the seal. I don't really know how that works, but whatever. Oh, he did crack the seal. Oh, okay, so what she's explaining to us is that the seal is cracked because they've all been captured, but, as we heard from the previous maiden, even though the seal is cracked, the gateway isn't open all the way. Like I said, that we have all the time in the world to do it! Doesn't matter, Zelda's waiting for us in Turtle Rock, so that's where we'll go next time. I'll see you guys then, later.